Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1948 and today's date is August 20th, 2019, and the title of the episode is Economic Conspiracy No More, Making the Economy Recession-Proof. Now, before I get started, I wanted to talk about investing. The stock market is roaring, now at all-time highs, and people are making money hand over fist. Now is the time to take advantage of the roaring economy, and you can do this by learning to trade with Trade Genius. Trade Genius, over the last 30 days, has netted its traders over 114% gains from spot-on trades. Right now through August, for their back-to-school specials, you can save over 50% off their bundled specials, and/or use promo code SCHOOL for 40% off all non-bundled items. Check out TradeGeniusAcademy.com. Tell them X22 Report sent you. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, today we see the market is down. Gold is moving back up. And we need to understand that Trump, the Patriots, they have a certain agenda. And the mainstream media, the deep state, the Dems, the central bank, they have an agenda. Trump and the Patriots, they are creating the narrative for the Fed to cut rates and start stimulus. This is going to be needed. This is not going to make the economy better. This is going to keep the economy alive enough so Trump and the Patriots have the ability to create a new economy. And while all this is happening, Trump needs to set up the narrative. And he needs to blame the Fed. And needs to say, listen, if you do what I say, things will be a lot better. Now, if the stock market was moving up at this point and moving up and moving up, he wouldn't be able to make that argument. But when the stock market is bobbing up and down, he can make that argument and he can say, listen, you need to do what I say, and I will show you after you do it, the market will go up. The economy will get better. Now, during this period of time, the mainstream media, the Dems, the deep state, the central bank, they're all out there saying, see, look what's happening. The economy's falling apart. It's going to collapse. No, that's not what's going to happen. And actually, it's working towards Trump's benefit because he'll turn around and say, look, the Fed did what I wanted them to do. They cut rates. They started stimulus. And the economy is roaring. There is no recession. We are now recession-proof. Remember, we talked about this for a very long time. This is not an open and free economy. The stock market is controlled. The interest rates are controlled. Precious metals are controlled. It's all controlled. This is how Trump knows what's going to happen. In the past, the Fed would always tell us the opposite of what's going to happen. I mean, go back to 2008. What did Bernanke always tell us? During the year of 2008, we are not forecasting any type of recession anytime soon. And in that year, in October, the market fell apart. We went into a recession, 2008, 2009. The worst recession we have ever seen. Now, the Fed, they told us that everything was contained. Everything was great. Don't worry about it. And now the mainstream media is out there saying that we're going into a recession. Certain Fed officials are saying that if we lower rates, we're going into a recession. Remember, think mirror. When these individuals come out and the mainstream media comes out and says one thing, think the opposite. Remember, Trump has the control now. They don't. And you can see it out in the UK also. They're pushing fear. Everything's going to fall apart. There's nothing Boris Johnson can do if he does the no-deal Brexit. There'll be shortages. Credit will freeze up. Medical supplies will freeze. Everything will freeze up. But Trump and Boris Johnson, they are talking. Trump tweeted out, great discussion with Prime Minister Boris Johnson today. We talked about Brexit and how we can move rapidly on a US-UK free trade deal. I look forward to meeting with Boris this weekend at the G7 in France. Now, the G7, they're all going to meet on August 24th to the 26th. This is in France. Now, they're going to be discussing the interim trade deal, and they'll be planning out a roadmap moving forward. Now, Trump is doing this, Boris Johnson is doing this, because they understand once they remove themselves from the EU, they need trade partners. The EU cannot get involved anymore. So now the UK can go ahead and make trade deals with many different countries, the US being one of them. And Trump is saying, listen, you make a deal with us, people are going to have to go through you to get to the US. And this will benefit the UK. You can see the push is on to regain control of the entire economic system. Now, we talked about just before how the economy is controlled. In precious metals, we've been saying for a very long time, they are controlled. They would use paper contracts, and they would throw them at the gold market, and they would bring down the price. Well, conspiracy, no more. We've talked about how certain individuals were prosecuted because they manipulated the silver market. Now we have 3 individuals that have been manipulating the gold market. And they were doing exactly what we've been telling everyone for a very long time. We all thought the same thing. Someone's throwing out these paper contracts, millions of them, and they're bringing the price of gold down. We have an individual in JP Morgan engaged in a 6-year spoofing scheme that defrauded investors in gold, silver, platinum, and palladium future contracts. John Edmonds, then 36, pled guilty under seal in the District of Connecticut. Then we have an individual in Bear Stearns, Corey Flom, who worked as a trader at Bear Stearns and Bank of Nova Scotia, also admitted to precious metals manipulation, saying he placed thousands of bogus orders for future contracts over a 9-year period. Then we have Christian Truntz, another former JP Morgan metals trader, pleaded guilty to precious metals spoofing to manipulate the price. Now, this trading strategy was admittedly intended to inject materially false and misleading liquidity and price information into the precious metal futures contracts markets by placing the spoof orders in order to deceive other market participants about the existence of supply and demand. The spoof orders were designed to artificially move the price of precious metals future contracts in a direction that was favorable to Edmonds and his co-conspirators at the bank, to the detriment of other market participants. In pleading guilty, Edmonds admitted that he learned his deceptive trading strategy from more senior traders at the bank, and he personally deployed this strategy hundreds of times with the knowledge and consent of his immediate supervisors. So what he's saying here is that there are many, many others who are involved in this scheme. So that whole conspiracy thing about, someone's manipulating the gold market, it's no longer a conspiracy. Someone manipulating the silver market, it's no longer a conspiracy. People now are being arrested. Maybe that's why we haven't seen the gold price or the silver get hit with millions and millions of contracts. Haven't you noticed that this has not happened? And as time goes on, I don't think we're going to see it anymore, which tells you something. Who is taking control of the economic system? The patriots are. Now, very interestingly, we mentioned this in the beginning. Boston Fed President Eric Rosengren said that the U.S. central bank should be careful not to cut interest rates too much now because it would push U.S. homeowners and businesses to take on more debt, thus making any recession more painful. Now, we need to think the opposite here. The recession is not going to happen when the interest rates are lowered and stimulus is started. The recession was going to happen when they continually raised the rates and they tightened. So whatever the central bank is saying, whatever the mainstream media is saying, the opposite effect is going to happen. And as we move forward, once Trump gets the Fed to cut rates again, and start stimulus, we're going to see the entire economic system take off. Now, of course, this is statistically. Remember, he's doing this because he needs to keep the central bank system alive. He's also looking to cut taxes. That is very important. That will put a lot more money back into the people's pockets to keep the system alive long enough to make it through the 2020 election. This is all being done on purpose. This is part of the plan because they understand that this system was supposed to implode on itself years ago. And they were expecting someone else to be president right now. They didn't get it. So Trump and the Patriots, they needed a way to keep the system alive because if the system completely imploded on itself, guess what? Trump would never make it to the next term. And they couldn't continue with the plan. Now, once we're in the next term, Trump, at that point, he has freedom. The Patriots have a lot more freedom to do what he needs to do. And remember, their entire mission at this point is to restructure the Fed, Q has told us this before, and to bring this system out of a central bank economy and into a people's economy. Just like it was brought out of a sound money system, well, partially a sound money system back in 71, and it brought us right into a full-on fiat system where the central bankers had full control. And then in 2008, the central bankers even gave themselves even more control over the entire system. Everything is being reversed right now. And this is all part of the plan. This is just the beginning. And we said by August, we were going to see rate cuts. We were going to see stimulus. By September, October, November, we're going to see the market take off. Now, I know the market has nothing to do with the economy. But remember, the deep state, the mainstream media, the central bank, they've been brainwashing the public for a very long time, making everyone believe that the market is the economy. And Trump is just using the weapons against them. We're going to see the market hit all-time highs. I wouldn't be surprised if we hit 28, 29, maybe even 30,000 Dow. Because once it hits that, Trump, coming into 2020, can say, look at the economy. Look what we've done here. Lowest unemployment. GDP numbers are incredible. Look at the stock market and look at gold. I don't know if I'll mention gold, but we'll look at gold because gold is going to continually rise up, up, and up. And pretty soon, people are going to catch on, and people are going to say, it doesn't look like gold is dropping anytime soon. It looks like the manipulation has ended. Maybe I should get into the retail market before it gets too high. Now, remember, if we go back to the 1913 calculation, gold should be around 5,954, and silver should be at 724 per ounce. Remember, they've been manipulating the gold and silver market for a very long time. This is not where the price of gold and silver should be at this point. And this is why I think gold is going to rise almost to this point. Or maybe it will hit this point. Do I think it's going to be this year? No. But we're going to see incredible gains, which lets us know that the fiat paper system, it's dead in the water. Because it tells us it takes $5,954 now to buy 1 ounce of gold. Think about going all the way back to the Great Depression when it was around $35 an ounce. That means $35 to buy 1 ounce. Right now, it's at $1,500 to buy 1 ounce. It tells you that the fiat system is failing, that you need that much more. That means the gold didn't really go up in price. What it means is the value of the dollar, it has been losing value over time, and it takes a lot more of those dollars. You need a lot more of them to buy the same exact ounce, which tells you the fiat system is dying. And if we get to 2,000, 2,500, 3,000, the world is going to wake up. They're going to realize this system is not what they've been telling us. This system is self-destructing. Trump and the Patriots know this. That's why they're moving so quickly. to get rid of all the globalist deals, to reestablish free trade deals, and to build the new people's economy. They're running against the clock here. Time is ticking down. And once gold gets to this area, gold will then destroy the Fed. Because people will look at gold and say, wow, the Fed's fiat money, it's worthless. It's absolutely worthless at this point. And people will say, I want gold instead. And as more and more people buy gold and dump their dollars, it will destroy the Federal Reserve System. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.